Hey, 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 Shelly, what's up?
Hello, welcome, everybody.
Welcome to Women Conquer Business. I'm Jen McFarland, joined by Shelly Carney, and this week we are talking about marketing campaigns. This is Marketing Campaigns 101 with 7 winning strategies just to get you thinking about your marketing a little bit differently. And I am in Boise, Idaho. Tomorrow would have been my father's birthday. And so I am in Boise to support my mom. It also means that Teddy, the Wonder Pup, is sitting next to me, and we're going to be very hopeful that he doesn't start to cry or need anything during the show. And so, yeah, that's what's kind of what's going on over here. What are you up to, Shelly?
Well, let's see. We started our new show last Saturday, calling it Headlines. So we bring out headlines from the news and things that our audience is interested in talking about, and that went really well. We had 26 people show up for our first live stream and made $100 in super chat. So we were very excited about that.
What?
Let's see.
Wait,
Tomorrow,
time
we're
out. What is super chat? Hang
oh
on. What is
wow,
that?
when you
Let's
get
talk about that.
1,000 subscribers and 400 watch hours within a 12-month period, you have the ability then to engage super chat, which means people can donate money to you in the chat. They can just click a button and give you money.
Oh, that's so awesome. See, I'm relatively new to building my own YouTube channel at all, and I don't have 1,000 subscribers, so it's very fascinating to me, all of these creator tools. I haven't dove into it too deeply because there's not a lot of need for it
But you
at
are
this point,
growing
you
quickly
know?
for this type of a channel. Yeah, I've been
Yeah.
watching your growth, and you're doing really well.
Yeah, it's been really fun. So, I'm sorry,
Oh.
getting back to didn't mean to interrupt. I'm also very intrigued by this headlines show, so
Yeah.
carry on.
Yeah, well, the headline show is going to be every Saturday night at 7 PM. Um, Toby and I, and we used to do just we did always 7 PM evening shows. So going back to that, I think our audience is picking back up again with, oh yeah, they're back at night. So they like
Yeah.
that. Tomorrow we're going to be doing an Amazon Live show specifically for a sponsor. Uh, the name of the sponsor is Vont, VONT, and they sent us a bunch of little lighting equipment like lanterns and flashlights and different lighting things, little
Oh, so
candles,
cool.
the little candles that you can turn on and off, the little tea light candles
Oh,
that
yeah, yeah.
candle holders, and you don't have wax everywhere. So they sent us a bunch of these things, and we're going to be doing a special show on Friday on our Video Tarot Live on Amazon live streaming Friday to show that to everybody. And we got free stuff out of it.
Yeah.
That was kind of cool.
That is neat. Oh,
Yeah.
wow, that's really cool. Yeah, I have not you'll notice as we go through the show today that there's just not a lot of breaking news and things like that, and it's because I'm still recovering from a concussion over here. I was on a group Zoom call and I with like 5 people, and I was able to get through about 45 minutes before I got a little overwhelmed, which is like making a lot of progress. But the typical things that I'm like, "Oh my gosh, so much breaking news. Look at all this," like I'm just not engaged in that kind of stuff right now. So we're not, there's not a lot of tweaks of the week because I'm not really testing apps or anything. And that's why there's really not a lot of news for me, to really share about what's going on over here. I did a soft launch on my website, and it's been very exciting. I had some people who've subscribed before I even told anybody that I turned it on. So that's pretty exciting. And I would say the other thing that was super exciting, I forwarded this email to Shelly. We got an email from somebody who they self-identified as a fan. And I was like super excited about that. I think that that's really neat. And so just know that when you like something and you tell the people that you like it, it's really exciting for us. We really enjoy that. And so I just want to
Right.
thank everybody for oh hey.
We got Jeep Girl Jody in the
Hey,
house.
you go, Jody. So just know that when we get those, it's exciting for us. So if you have a question or you just want to share something, please feel free to email. And that's hello@womenconquerbiz.com, and we will reply. I think the person was also shocked that I replied same day just to say hi and, thank her and stuff. So that was pretty neat. So we just really appreciate that. And as we continue to grow and have people just know that we're here for you in a real way, not just a "Hey, we're online," kinda way.
Come look at us. Look at me. Look at
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing, it's
Yeah.
really we're here for you, not to, like, look at ourselves online.
Although that's fun too.
It is kind of fun too, admittedly.
I
So
went to YouTube the other yesterday, I think it was even, and, you can go to the YouTube page and then search for things. I put my
Yeah,
name in, and there was, like, this never-ending list of videos that I was in, and I was like, "Dude."
so cool. I know it's kind of funny, or you like, you look yourself up online and you see, you
Mhm,
know,
mhm.
yeah, it's wild. Like I think about that stuff too, and then I try not to. As it gets like everybody knows everything. It's kind of wild. So this week we are gonna skip over breaking news
Well,
unless you
actually, let me give
or
mine.
do you have one? Oh, there was nothing in the show flow.
It's not
Okay.
really breaking news. It's that I won a ticket to CEX. So I'm just
Oh,
gonna
I
talk about
know.
CEX.
That's so
So
cool.
CEX is Creator Economy Expo that's going on in Phoenix, Arizona, May 2nd through the 4th, and they were having a contest or just it was just a enter your name to maybe win, kind of a raffle
That's so
deal.
cool. Yeah.
And, they gave away 3 big prizes. I didn't win one of the big prizes, but they said, "We had so many people enter, and we did a secondary drawing, and you won a free ticket to the expo," which is over $900 for the ticket. So I was just very excited about that. I would love to go. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to because my husband's having his last cancer treatment on the 2nd, um,
Yeah.
and I just don't know where we're gonna be at that point. But if I get the ticket and can't go at the last minute, then I can still get the videos of all the talks. So,
Yeah, and for
I
those of you who
would
don't
love to be
know,
there to
yeah. I mean,
interact with people.
I think that, like, for those of you who don't know, CEX is a really cool thing. We talked a little bit about it indirectly last week when we talked about Content Inc.
Mhm.
and that book, and then that's related to The Tilt, which is a really good marketing related newsletter that Shelly turned me on to, and the Content Inc. book also, and then from there, I did look at CEX and I was like, "Well, this is really neat. It'd be cool to see, like, Anne Handley and people like that." So
Yeah.
I think it's amazing that you got a ticket, whether you get to go or not. And then for other people, like, if you're creating things and you're interested in the creator economy, I think it's also a really good resource for people
Mhm.
who
Absolutely.
maybe don't know.
Tilt comes out twice a week, and I get it in my inbox, and I love it because it's just got a rundown of bullet points in there, as well as a couple of short articles that keep you apprised of what's going on in the creator economy world. Is we're both content creators, so it's got relevant stuff in there. And then a lot of times I'll even find something that's really so good that I'll
Mhm.
include it in my newsletter. Like it's an article that they share or somebody else's blog post that they share, and I'm like, "Oh, everybody needs this," so I put it in my email.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Mhm.
love that. That's why I do subscribe to a lot of marketing stuff
Yeah,
because it helps me find things that I can put in my newsletter. Like, it's
that's
like a
right.
way to do some content curation. And yeah, I was set to go to a conference in June that was going to
Mhm,
be a good creator economy for video, and I have a speaking engagement. So I I
mhm.
have a ticket to something in June that I'm not going to be able to use. And I need to look and see if I'm going to get recordings, because if I
Yeah,
am, then it's great. If I'm not, then I may even have to, like, upgrade it so that I at least get something out of
I see.
but these conferences are really great, and I really encourage people to subscribe to some of these different newsletters to get some information. You can certainly subscribe to ours, but you can also um go and find information from people that you trust, and that conference and everything, I think, is just that's a really good find.
Yeah, yeah, especially if you're familiar with Phoenix and, it's gonna be right close to the Arizona Mills Mall and, there's a whole bunch going on. If you stay at the resort, they have a water park, the Oasis water park. It's pretty nice. So,
Yeah.
it's a good opportunity for a vacation if you're into that.
I need a vacation really bad.
Yeah.
And my friend Bridget Willard, who I forgot that it was her, posted on Twitter, like, when was your last real vacation? Because she was heading out. She did like a cruise, off. She's more East Coast, I think, and did a cruise off the East Coast. And I was like, when was the last time that I had a vacation where I was unplugged, where I didn't have a business, or I didn't have, something where I was constantly like supporting, because
Mhm.
my career before I started my business was also very like 24/7 on. And I was like, I haven't had a real disconnected vacation since 2013. So
Yeah.
I'm like, I need that. So I'm in the process of looking for that, because I think that would be it's helpful, I think, for all of us to kind of unplug.
Yes.
Not
Like
that
mine was
CEX would help
2016.
you unplug, but it might if you like stayed late and like hung out at the water slide,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Yeah.
It's there's a lot to do in that area. I My husband and I grew up in that area. So, yeah, it's a great place to hang out. And May is beautiful there. I actually got married on May 4th, because it's beautiful weather, and I knew that I had family all coming out for it, and that they could enjoy it.
Yeah.
It was warm enough to swim, but not so uncomfortably hot, that it gets in the middle of some you've lived there, you know.
I lived there. I lived near Arizona Mills too. Like it's yeah, no. May is okay,
Yeah,
but parts of when you get a little later, it gets a little
that's right.
toasty.
Yes, it
So
does.
I don't know. I would rather have it be hot than cold, but that's just me. So
Your girl Jody says,
uh,
"Time for a vacation, Jen."
oh, amen, sister. It
Right.
is definitely time for a vacation. So should we launch right into it, into building your first marketing campaign? Are we
You betcha.
Oh, I
Let's
always
get
forget about the
into it.
music. Yeah, so let's talk about this. Do you have anything that you wanna kinda start off with when it comes to marketing campaigns, or any questions as we head in, or
Well, I specifically asked Jen to cover this because I have learned that part of being an influencer, there are, I believe, 3 parts to being an influencer. One is creating content,
Mhm.
2 campaigns, and 3 collaboration. So you've got the 3 C's: content, campaigns, collaboration. And I wasn't very strong on campaigns. I wanted to focus on that to get more ideas, maybe, a streamlined way of doing things, a
Mhm.
strategy, and like a system. That's what I
A
want, a
system.
system. I love that word, a system. So that's why I brought it up to Jen. I said, "I wanna talk about this, and I wanna learn more about it." So that's why we're diving into it. We've talked a lot about content creation
Yeah.
and distribution in the past couple of months. Now I wanna dive more deeply into having those campaigns and what that means, what are campaigns, what campaigns are gonna work best for my business, and how to have a system for those.
Sure. So let's just start. So I did talk to somebody who works on this a little bit. If you want to do like social media campaigns, first of all, there's all different kinds of marketing campaigns out there. If you think about what a marketing campaign is at a really high level, so you're creating all of this content, which is fantastic, but then what are you doing with it? Like, and really that's where the marketing campaign comes into play. Like, and it's what a lot of people make a mistake with. So, and that takes me back to the earlier episode. I interviewed somebody named Benjamin Dell, and he created software called Missing Letter. And the entire purpose of Missing Letter is to create social media campaigns around your blog posts or your content. At that time we were talking about blog posts, but you could use it, for other types of content like YouTube, or, whatever content you're making. And a lot of it, what he said is he created that software because he found a lot of people would write a blog post, post it once or twice, and then that's it. And the truth is that isn't enough, especially now. I mean, this was like 3 years ago when I talked to him, and
Mhm,
especially now, it's even more so because, I mean, what is it? Only 1% of your followers see what you're doing on Facebook.
mhm,
They say up to like 9% on Instagram. I think it's much lower than that. Same thing with LinkedIn. So you can't just say, "Well, I shared it. Did everybody
right,
see it?" Like, you have to do things with a little bit more intentionality so that people can engage with you and know what it is that you're doing. So at the get, like, one of the things you have to know is creating content is great. It's not enough. You
mhm,
can create content and build some infrastructure around SEO and search, But even SEO and search is complicated because you'd have to have some sort of strategy around like getting backlinks, meaning other people share your content and post it on their blogs. So a marketing campaign is much simpler. So I think when most people hear marketing campaign, they think of advertising. And that is one type. There is also, social media campaigns. It could also be a campaign that you do around, like if you're launching something and you do something like a challenge, or
Mhm.
and you're sharing your content as a part of a challenge, where you're like 5 days to, create great blog posts or something like that. So it can also be like an event. So when we're talking about marketing campaigns, it really is about building a structure around your content for how you're going to get it out into the world. And you might be thinking, well, I'm already doing that. And the truth is, you are already doing that, probably in some way or another. You are already doing marketing campaigns. You just may not be calling it that. Does that resonate with you?
Well, for me, as you bring things up, and it's like, oh yeah, the thing is, we don't put a lot of planning into things. We did a panel back in January, which you were a part of, but
Mhm.
we came up with the idea like 3, 4 weeks ahead of time of doing that, and then
Sure.
and then we thought, well, maybe we'll do it once per quarter, but we haven't even gone that far with it because we're just very like, let's see if it works, and then we'll do it again if it worked. And then when
Right.
we put our sorry, latest book out, we added it to Kindle Unlimited, and that gave us the opportunity to offer it for free for a set number of days. So we decided, well, all of our books are on Kindle Unlimited. Why don't we put them all for free on Sunday and Monday? And we did that. And then we sent out an email and we told people on our show, and we directed people to it. But it was like less than a week's worth of thinking about it and doing it, and then it's done.
Right.
So we don't have the planning in place, I think.
Yeah.
And we learn as we go, of course. We didn't know we were gonna do this, and then we just like, "Let's just do it."
Right. And you brought up
No
another
system,
type.
right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, and you brought up another type of marketing campaign, which is email marketing campaigns,
Mhm.
which you guys are both really good at. You and Toby hit that out of the park all the time with like a lot of consistency. So there are lots of different ways of doing this. I know other people who do audience building around having webinars, and they go down a whole different rabbit hole with what would be considered marketing campaigns. So there's any number of things that you can do, but you're 100% right when it comes to the planning piece. And a lot of it, as we start to kind of go into one of the first of the 7 things that you need to know in order to succeed at this, is the first thing that you really have to look at is, what is the specific goal that you're trying to achieve with this marketing campaign? So, what does that mean? Well, if we talk about things in terms of hang on, I'm trying to get over here where I can see some of my notes. All right. So, if we really think about, having a marketing campaign, like what would be the specific goal around like a blog post or a podcast? Certainly you want more eyeballs on the blog. You want people to watch your videos. If you're creating videos, you want people to share it. So you need to have things that are compelling enough that people are sharing it and is going out there. But if you have something like a book, that's a little bit of a better one to really build around. So if you have a book, what is the specific goal that a marketing campaign would have? Well, it could be a lot of different things, and you need to decide what that is. So in the book example, it's like, well, do I just want to sell books? Is that the primary goal? And then you build a marketing campaign around book sales. Do I want to have it on Kindle Unlimited and get a lot of attention, get a lot of reviews, which helps with being an influencer and gaining attention in a different way? Do I want to share it out on social and get on more podcasts, for example? Like that's a whole different goal. So when we talk about building a marketing campaign, we're really talking about what is that specific goal that you have. And it can't be, I have all of the goals. I want all of the things.
Mhm.
And you can do that. But the focus of this show is really around small businesses. I think we have a lot of solopreneurs, a lot of freelancers. If you don't have a big budget and you don't have a lot of people, you have to be very specific and sometimes narrow and have one primary goal that is like the primary reason why you have done something or what it is that you want to accomplish. And so that's really the first step, is to have a really specific or narrow thing that you're trying to achieve with that marketing campaign. Because without that specificity and without understanding the primary goal that you have for a marketing campaign, it makes it really hard to like rein in a process or come up with those steps that you really want to follow in order to be successful.
Yeah. And and I think first you have to analyze why and what is the goal and why is the goal. So they kind of have to go together. Why do I have a goal of I want, 100 followers on or 100 subscribers on YouTube? Well, because then I can get my little vanity URL because I have 100. So you
Right.
have to have a good, reason so that it'll push you to hit that goal, I think.
Absolutely. And one of the things about, like, on the one hand, I'm like, yeah, that's kind of a vanity metric. But I also wanted it myself because I wanted to have that URL. I think gives you a little more cachet, like on your website and things like that. Makes you a little more of a serious creator. And when it comes to things that take a lot of time to create, like a book, I mean, your specific goal probably has something to do with sales and money. And that's why when we go into the second thing that's super important, which is your marketing budget, if you are talking about sales, then sometimes you have to spend a little money in order to make money. You have to define that budget. And if, so if you're spending a lot of money, say on like YouTube advertising so that you can get a vanity metric, like, is that really helpful? I mean, maybe, but you maybe don't want to spend a ton of money on advertising just to get
Right.
attention without any sort of defined goal.
Right.
If you want to sell books, you need to have a marketing budget. Or if you want to promote your blog, you may need to have a marketing budget. And how you define what that marketing budget is really depends on your size and what it is that you're doing. So I think instantly people are like, well, I'm not going to run ads, so I don't really have a marketing budget. And
Mhm.
I say you do. You do have a marketing budget because your time is money.
Yeah.
So the amount of time that you spend doing things, if you don't have a social media scheduler, if you don't have a way to plan things out so that you can have that drip content that goes out, you're actually investing a lot of your time and it's taking you away from other things.
Mhm.
So that's one way that you can look at your budget. The other way you can look at it is, what are the tools that I am using, and am I getting like that benefit back for whatever it is that I'm spending? Whether it's, tools like StreamYard, like you guys use StreamYard. That's a marketing tool and it helps you as a linchpin in your business. So I would hope that it's a payoff, like you're getting out of it what you're putting into it. I talk to a lot of business owners who get tons of apps that they don't even use.
Mhm.
And then they're like, I don't have any money. I don't have a marketing budget. And then we go through and we look at like all of the tools that they're using and we help narrow it down, because a lot of times people just are tool collectors
Yeah.
and then none of the tools are talking to each other. So there is some streamlining that can happen that can save you some money and help you with that budget. If you have a clear, specific goal, then you need to also have a clear and specific budget around this campaign that you would like to do.
Mhm. Whether that's money or time or both.
Whether it's money or time or both.
Mhm.
I prefer both. And
Mhm.
also the idea that you're looking at your time, and whatever time you think it's gonna take, that you add a little bit extra,
Yeah.
because things typically take a little longer than you think. And if you haven't been constructing a lot of marketing campaigns, like meaning if you haven't been email marketing, it might take you a while to set that up and get into a good cadence and put that into your workflow. If you're not planning out and scheduling and doing social media campaigns every time you create new content, it might take you a while to integrate that and get that flow going. But then I think you have to follow a lot of what Shelley really has talked about a lot on this show, which is, systematizing it, coming up with some clear checklists and what day you're doing it, how you're going to do it. And then that really helps to minimize the time budget and help you with focusing more on the money budget.
Yeah. And yeah. And if you have your weekly schedule figured out, like I wrote it in my newsletter this week that we started off the year. Toby and I started off the year doing one live show a week, and
Yeah.
now I'm doing 4 live shows a week, and this week 5. So, but because everything is now in a system, I can do that. I can
Yeah.
add on because I have a system. I can just okay, one more of these, and it just becomes a system. And I'm only doing a blog for the Wednesday show. So it's not, and that's the most time
That's the
consuming part of it is the
yeah.
edit and everything. So I only do one of those a week.
Yeah, because you have to know, excuse me, you have to know how long something takes, and then you have to make sure that each of these things like fit into whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish.
Mhm,
So you've got a specific goal around what it is that you want to do. You have a specific budget around how much this is going to cost. And some things it's hard to really containerize. Like if you create a lot of content and you're doing a lot of social media and also a lot of email marketing, like it might just be like, I'm just going to stick this in this slot. I've created some slots and you do it that way. If it's something like a book, it might be more of like, this is the box for the book and this is how this fits in. If you have
mhm,
a new product, so that could be a book, it could be a service, it could be a product like that you're shipping out, it could be
course.
anything like that, a course,
Mhm,
anything like that. And so the next thing to really think about with your marketing campaign is to define the target audience. Now, if we're talking about a book or a course, a service-based business, you hopefully have defined the target audience before you're delivering
mhm,
on a marketing campaign.
mhm.
But a lot of people don't do that. And I talk to a lot of people who are like, I want all of the people everywhere. And you know, like if you think about something like our latest course on Epiphany courses, find the right marketing tools for your small business. Who is that for? That is for small business owners who want to have the right software for their business but don't know how to find it, and maybe I would say don't have that trust factor of like that they can just go to a software company and make sure that they're getting exactly what they need. So that is a very specific market that like is a discovery of your business. So we have to talk to people differently in those marketing campaigns because we don't want certain people to really pay attention to it. We're looking for a small sliver
Right.
of the market, even like a small subgroup of small business owners.
Mhm.
And that's okay. And that's what I mean when it's like define like your target audience. Like you want to have something quite narrow because it makes it easier for you to craft an affordable, goal based marketing campaign where you can be like talking to that group of people.
That's right. And I know some digital marketers and digital marketing companies and those who have digital products, they even have a subset for each different product. Well, this product is aimed at this age group or this group of people who is doing this particular thing, and they
Mhm.
want this particular information, and it's only for them. It's not for my whole audience. So you
Right.
aim each product at a segment of your audience when you're doing that, but just be very clear about who it is and why
Yeah.
they need it, what it's for.
Absolutely. And I would say that it's also, when you're defining that target audience, I tend also to talk about demographics and things like that, but I want to also say how you define that target audience could be done, and how you slice and dice it could be done a lot of different ways. I'm thinking at this point specifically about somebody named David Allison and his company called Value Graphics. And so what he says is you don't pay attention to demographics at all. What you do is you look at values. And then because you could say that, like, um, for example, like if you were targeting people in England and you targeted, you know, people in their late 60s, early 70s, and like just kind of did a general thing. Well, you would have Prince Charles and Ozzy Osbourne in the same demographic, but their values are widely different. So you have to look at things in a much deeper and different way sometimes, and include things like values and what it is, who's going to value what you're doing the most. It's not just the standard demographics of like, well, how many people are using, how many are using this tool? How many people do this? How many people do that? How old are they? Sometimes you need to look at things in a much different way to really, and that's where you get into those like subgroups of people,
Mhm,
right? Is
mhm,
you look at things a little bit differently. So I really encourage you to get into like your target audience. If you're like me and your brand, I have different avatars for people. Like I've actually named them, and I
yeah,
have a really key idea about who I'm talking to at any specific time based on who I've worked with in the past, who resonates with different types of messages, but I also talk about what their values are, what they like to read, what they like to watch, all of that kind of thing, because then it helps me pull that stuff in then when I'm sharing content. And I think it helps it become more helpful and relatable.
mhm,
And so when we talk about like target audiences, I think it's really key to really talk about those types of things as well. And follow David Allison on LinkedIn. He's a good source for that, and he really developed it. I think he says there are like 34 different dimensions of values that you can talk about. And he's done like tons and tons of research around it.
hmm, alright.
Yeah. I know.
Well, I
Just
know that we kinda did, we separated out for our shows even. We have the Messages and Methods on Wednesdays, which is more for entrepreneurs, encore entrepreneurs especially. But then on Saturday nights, we have a kind of a open chat night for the groups who just wanna hang out and chat. So it
yeah.
could be the same person in both situations, but it may not be.
Right. And they may have different questions and different needs, and one might be more appropriate in one place than in the other.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. That's the thing that's so exciting about it, or different. So I think we've maybe talked about the target audience to death, but it's also one of the most important things that
Sure.
people tend to overlook, or
Yeah.
they overgeneralize.
Right.
So it's really important to dive into that, get into the details on that. And I would say before you create the content, before you create the product, but definitely before you start promoting it and pushing it out, like you want to really know who you're talking to.
Right. Because that's gonna help
Um,
you determine your message.
it also helps you with the next one, which
Yeah.
is the marketing channels.
Okay.
Where are you gonna, where is it that you're going to be sharing this?
Mhm.
Is this an ad for people who are going to be searching for your product or service on Google, and you want to have ads that are served? Maybe you found some target keywords that are affordable that you can use. Is the channel most effective if you do email marketing? Are these people who are already on your list, that you can send and they're just going to eat it up? Is this something that you're sending out to social media? In which case, how does that look? Are you gonna send it to multiple channels? And how does that look? And what is the workflow around that? And when we talk about marketing channels, it's also, looking at pinpointing, especially, as specific as your target audience is. It's really thinking about where they are. And we've talked a little bit about like marketing, social media trends and things like that. And I would say don't necessarily worry about trends. Worry about where they're at today, and don't try to build a new audience. Find out where that audience is today. And that's, I guess, the long way of going around and saying, TikTok, for the people who are largely listening to this, TikTok is probably not for you. I would say 95% of the people who probably watch
That
or
is
listen
a
to this
sore
show.
spot for me, I tell you what.
I know. I knew that I could tell you and I could see you physically react like, "Oh, here we go, TikTok." You
I
know.
was on TikTok 2, 3 years ago, you know? That it just didn't
Oh,
impress me.
yeah.
I wasted a lot of time, and it's a demographic of very young people.
Very young people. I got a question earlier in the week about Discord, and it was so funny because I was like, I'm so accustomed to certain questions coming up that, like, they were like, "Well, I'm thinking about, going out on, Clubhouse or Discord." And I actually
Mhm.
said, I was like, "Discord? Wow, that's a new one." Like,
I've
and I
been
just
hearing
kinda
a lot about Discord lately. A lot of
and
people are going there. I
a
think
lot
they
of people are
upgraded
going
a
there,
lot.
and so it was really great because I did a little deep dive on
Yeah.
Discord and sent this back to the person. And so at this point, 70% of people who are on Discord are still gamers.
Mhm.
And there's a certain age group, but it's changing.
Yeah.
And so what I told this person was, and I would tell other people is, okay, so set up a business profile on Discord and watch it. But as of today, if if your audience isn't already on Discord and you're not focused on gamers or people who or your customers are unlikely to be gamers that are already there, it may not be the right channel for breaking in and starting your audience building.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting how we pick the most effective channels to really help our business move our business forward. And I would suggest that you look at all the different channels. If you have existing clients, you go ask them, where are you?
Mhm.
Where are you most active?
Mhm.
And if your favorite channel is not the channel that everybody's on, then you might have to just bite the bullet and go there and be there. Like for me, like I love Twitter. I I don't know exactly. I know my friend Bridget will tell me like you can totally promote your business there. I I haven't done that. I go to LinkedIn to promote because that's where most of my people are. And I still love Twitter and I use it for my own stuff. But I'm not as promotion, I don't do a lot of marketing campaigns around Twitter.
Mhm.
But if Bridget is out there, she's gonna she's gonna bite on that and talk to me about how I can do Twitter. So there's a channel out there for everybody. Really consider those channels. Think about where people are and how and how you could focus on that. What is it that Jody said here?
Let's take a look. She says, I wish you guys were around doing this 20 years ago. I was doing contract accounting work. I was going to go full on with my own business. The advertising marketing side was hard to figure out.
Yeah, I understand. And I was doing this 20 years ago. But not on a podcast or on YouTube. I
Uh-huh.
was doing it, um, now I just sustain the customer relationship, no sales. Absolutely. And I think that is an absolutely valid way of doing business. What the marketing campaigns can help with is if that dries up or if you want to do some exponential growth or something, then the marketing campaigns can help with that. But if you have, I would say, unbelievably, like absolutely, Jody, it's most important to have those clients and keep them. Make sure you keep people happy, and do that customer relationship, and then you don't have to worry as much about sales. You don't have to worry as much about promotions. It's a everybody's business is different,
Mhm.
and how you do this is really up to you and what the best way of doing this. Everybody has a different way, but I would say that successful businesses always start with focusing on those customer relationships. Keep people happy, and they'll keep coming back. I mean, you know, you don't have to do as much promotion if you keep people happy.
That's right. And you get referrals. So yeah, absolutely. It's gonna be the way to go.
Yeah, no, I mean it's awesome. So, so yeah, I hope we answered your concerns and questions. So you want to target the channels. You don't want to overburden yourself with too many marketing channels. And because you will find that then when we go into How would I find the producers for Google Talks? We just got a question. I'm not sure I understand the question. Do you understand the question, Shelley?
Um, Google Talks, is that where people
I don't know.
I don't know either.
Or are you talking about the producers of this show? Because you're talking to them right now. We produce our own show. So if you could clarify, that would be awesome. Well, so as we move into the next phase, so after you've decided the channels, and again, more channels means more complexity, then you really want to like do a content calendar. So if you're already doing a content calendar, and I think Shelley is, and to an extent I'm doing it as well, you also want a content calendar for how you are promoting the content that you're creating. And you need to have that planned in advance, ideally not ideally more than a week ahead of a book
Yeah,
launch, for
well,
example. I think we all do that.
yes.
So I think
Better is
that
something than nothing, I think.
yeah. But you want to have like a content calendar. If you're doing like social media, then I would suggest using something like a missing letter or something like that that helps you kind of like missing letter that you can do like a 1 year campaign for like every blog post or every podcast, and then you just go through and you make the content once and it'll share it out for a year.
Yeah.
And that's really nice. Then you don't really have to think about it too much. If um if you think about, how many times, what's your content calendar for email marketing? How many times are you sharing this new product with people? How many different ways are you talking about it? Calendar that out, so that you have a way to systematize, what you're going to talk about, the different pieces that you're going to be calling out that really generate excitement around what it is that you're talking about. Um, if you have a course, it's the same thing. If you have,
Yep.
every different product, you want to make sure that you are calendaring out the content and figuring out what it is that you're going to say, and then following through on that.
Yes. And yeah, and the more you can calendar, the more you can stick with it, and be consistent, the better off you're gonna be, and the more you'll continue to grow in increments. So that is definitely a thing that everybody needs, and sometimes it's just start with something small. Every week on Mondays, I'm gonna do my LinkedIn newsletter, and then just stick with it for a while, and then add something else in. Every Tuesday, I'm going to send out an email newsletter. Okay. And then every Wednesday, I'm going to do a live show. Every Thursday, I'm going to do this. Every Friday, I'm going to do this. And then I take the weekends off, and that's my schedule. And then
Yeah.
add in
Yeah.
as you can.
Exactly, and it's also that when you're launching something new, like you have a very, very tight schedule of things that you do every week, right? So then it's also like, how do I slot this new thing
Mhm.
into all of this existing content that I'm creating, or the existing slots that I have for things, so you make sure that you share each of these different things as you go along,
That's right.
and make sure that it's that you mention it, like, and I'll admit, I personally don't do a great job always of like sharing things over and over and over again. And so
That's why we have the apps.
that's why we have the apps. But that's why, like, if you are like someone like me who's always on to the
Yeah,
next thing,
me
it's
too.
really important that you pause and really plan some of this stuff out.
That's right.
So in order, let's swing back to this question that we got about finding the producers for Google Talks. I would say that one of the ways that you could do this would be to make sure you're following some of the creators on Twitter. That seems to be a good way to really connect sometimes with people and ask questions. Um, you know, Make sure you go to the talks and like add value and things like that. Um, with TED Talks and things, you want to get to know the people who are creating those events, and it helps you understand what's coming up and try to get on the calendar. TED Talks, at least in Portland, are incredibly competitive.
Mm.
and they have specific themes, so you need to really fit like the theme. It's probably a similar thing with Google Talks. I bet they're very competitive, and I
Mhm.
bet that there's just a lot of people who want to be on there. So
Yeah.
it is a little bit about like getting attention,
Yeah.
and
And
then
start with
and
something small, like grow an audience with a podcast so that you have some credibility. So they'll look at you and go, "Oh, you're a content creator. You've been at this for 2, 3 years. You have some credibility and authority in your field." So that helps a lot as well.
exactly, yeah. And then we have a question here from Jody. If the company I worked for now worked on their marketing and kind of kept it with fresh ideas, they would probably double their income.
Mhm.
It's weird that they don't. It's interesting because they let the website do the sales. So it's interesting, and this is one of the ways that things are really changing, have changed since the pandemic, where it is incredibly easy to lose people if you're not creating fresh content, if you're not sure that everything is up to date. People are searching more now. They're looking more for that I don't know, like white glove, gold standard customer service experience. And a website may not always do that. People are looking at multiple channels. They want to engage with you in a customer service way in all of the different all of the different ways. A lot of people look at social media as a customer service channel. To a degree, that's what I was just suggesting, is go on social media, get to know the people doing Google Talks. It's the same thing for a small business. Make sure that everything is up to date. I can't remember the exact statistics, but people look to see um, if the information is accurate. If you have a phone number and it's wrong, then you've lost that person. So you really have to keep things fresh, 100%.
Yeah. We
Yeah.
talked about that yesterday on our Messages and Methods show. We talked about read the signs and stay agile, remain agile is what we talked about. How as a very small business, you're able to do that much easier
Mhm.
than a larger business. You can see a trend and you can jump on it. You can, if you have a live stream studio set up in your home, you can put out a live stream the minute you get new information. I just want to share this with my audience. So being agile an is an opportunity and an advantage that we have as a small business owner or a solopreneur.
Yeah. I'm looking at the time and thinking we're gonna run out of everything if we don't.
Get moving.
We gotta get a little moving. So make sure you have a content calendar. The next one is use industry trends that lead to engagement. So earlier I said don't worry about trends when it comes to picking your channel, but then it's also about, so if you think of it this way, look at like where you're getting the most engagement and do more of that. So
Yeah.
that's really what we're trying to do. So
Mhm.
look at ways that you can generate engagement. That's like comments and shares. And, if everybody's reading your email newsletter, then make sure that you have the important things in that email newsletter.
That's right.
So that's what we mean by industry trends. Understand that for many people, social media isn't a sales channel. That is different when it comes to YouTube. It's different when it comes to Pinterest, believe it or not. But many people don't go out on Facebook or even go into a Facebook group and to buy things. Like they're just kind of checking things out or learning information. So I would say that that's one way that you could do this when it comes to getting your marketing campaigns is find out where people are, be there, find out where they're engaging, go there, do that. It makes this whole process much easier. So then the last step, which is certainly, I think it is actually the most important, is the planning phase of this whole thing. So we have to recap, we have done, define a specific goal, create a marketing budget, find your target audience, and then be there on the right the right marketing channels, create a content calendar to help you plan out the content and where you're going to put it out, for how long, where it's going to be. Make sure that you're targeting the trends and the methods to be around the channels that lead to engagement for you. And then the last piece is planning. So you're putting all of those pieces together in a way, and this is where the systematizing part comes, right, Shelley? Like this is the exciting part.
Well,
It's
it helps a lot. I mean, but you don't know sometimes until you try it. If it's something that you like, that it's going to work for you, that you can institute it in your business as something that you do with some kind of frequency. You don't know until you try it. And then sometimes you have to try it several times to really get a feel of, is this working for me? Live streaming, is that working for me? Are people going to show up? You can't do it one or two times and then say, well, yes or no, it didn't work. You have to stick with that one for a while. Podcasting, same thing. You have to stick with it for a while. But then there's bigger campaigns like launches and challenges, and you have to say, well, did I get in, enough? Did I get close to my goal? Did I get enough ROI on this activity that I would do it again, that I would invest my time and energy so much into something like that. So there's that. And then once once you do find those things that really work well for you, then you can systemize and put them into your schedule. And every June I'm going to do this, and every December I'm going to do this, and because
yeah.
yeah,
Go ahead. Yeah.
oh, that's all.
I'm just cheering you on. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you're right, and we didn't really talk about the bigger launches because those can be really complicated. But I think that if we're, when we talk about some of the smaller things, like then you can just see that how this grows and how it's much harder to do, how it's much harder to execute quickly. You have to give yourself some time. And that's really the thing is give yourself the time to go through all of these steps. Do it when you're talking about something with no pressure. And then think about it. Then you've got some things in mind for then when it is higher pressure or a bigger deal or more important.
Yeah. Yeah. And experiences to fall back on. Yeah.
Right.
So Jody says, I would just hire you two to do all this. And that's totally fine with me.
That works for me. Thanks, Jody.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that that's the training. It took up the whole hour.
That's okay. So tell them about building your first marketing campaign, your blog post, and you
Oh,
mention
yeah. So a lot of these steps are based on a blog post on Epiphany Courses that is building your first marketing campaign, 7 things to do to succeed. And since I wasn't actually looking at the blog post at the time, I'm sure that there's some different things in here. Um, so that's kind of what we were talking about. Um,
there it is.
There it is. So definitely go there and you'll get a little bit more in depth around some of these things. And it's very
There you go.
helpful.
Coupon.
Yeah, and a coupon for Epiphany courses also. But you can tell that people are really digging this because it's gotten like 110 shares. So
Nice.
people are really into it. So definitely make sure that you look at that. And then, Shelly, what is it that you've got today?
All right. Let's see. Let me back to the screen here. What do I have today? Go to my thing. Oh, I'm just going to tell you about my book. Livecast Life. So, content creator lifestyle. This goes deeply into how to create content in a systemized way, streamlined, weekly, putting it on your calendar, making sure it happens, and sticking with it kind of a way. So this is available on Amazon in Kindle Unlimited, Kindle, and paperback. So check that out at book.agkmedia.studio. Yay.
Yeah.
Oh, you got it.
Oh,
Book.livecast.
and if you get
I'm right.
it, make sure you leave a review because reviews
Please
help.
leave a review. Yes. We appreciate reviews. That helps us out a lot.
So yeah. Then so what do you want to talk about tweaks of the week?
Tweaks of the week. So Toby and I were talking about maybe changing the time of our show from 1 o'clock on Wednesdays to 7 o'clock on Wednesdays. And I said, well, we need to look at the analytics and make some decisions and just, let our audience know what we're thinking about and see what we get for feedback and blah, 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 blah. But anyway, so the first step was look at our analytics. And we discovered that there's this new feature in the analytics that's just popped up this week, and they're still actually adding to it and making it better. But YouTube launched a new search insights for all creators, and that includes information on what people are searching for in the app, both in relation to your channel and content specifically. and for more general search queries. And there's an article that we're going to put the link to in the description box. So look for that article to learn more about that. But basically, you're going into your YouTube analytics and you can search this one area. They'll show
Mm.
you, here's what your viewers are searching for on Google. Like, dang, then we can make
Yeah,
content about that because that's what they're looking for, right? We can
exactly.
add that into our show. So it's a really helpful little piece of information that you can use to make your shows better.
And you know how much I love things that are about data.
Hmm. Yeah.
So I love this. Oh, this is so great. I'll have to look at that after you read that article.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, did you have any tweaks?
I did not.
No tweaks.
No
Okay, let's move
tweaks.
into inspiration. There has to be a balance in life's tasks between doing the business must do work and the inner work that we need to do for ourselves, right? Must feel
Mhm.
peaceful, must feel happy, must feel, inspired. I want to be happy in my mind, and that work on the inside has to happen first before we can manifest anything out in the outer world. So things like your journaling, your meditating, you're getting your exercise and your sleep, and really taking care of yourself. In other words, filling up your cup before you're trying to pour it out to help other people, and that's the first thing that we let go of a lot of times. Like, oh, I'm really busy with work, I don't have time for my journaling, I don't have time for exercise, I don't have time for that, so that just gets shoved aside, and then we
Yeah.
focus on getting our work done, and then we feel blah, ugh, stressed. It's because we're not taking care of that inner work first, right? We're letting it go, and that is our
Yeah.
foundation in life. We got to hold on to building that foundation a little bit every day and keeping ourselves strong so that our cup is full.
Oh, I needed to hear that today.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
Yes.
I've fallen off of my meditation a little
Mhm.
bit,
Mhm.
and, I realize how good it feels to do it. So
Well, it's easy to do when you're traveling. It gets hard to stick with your routines when you're traveling,
that's
but
right.
remember that taking care of yourself is your number one priority.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, that's a great way to end the show.
Okay. Then you go ahead and close it out.
Me? Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for all of the great questions. Please come back, share this with your friends, and we will talk to you next week.
Yay. We're looking forward to seeing you again next week. And thank you so much for being here today. Thank you for joining the Women Conquer Business podcast, hosted by Shelley Carney and Jen McFarland. Please subscribe and leave a comment or question regarding your most challenging content creation or business problem. Then share this podcast with family and friends so they can find the support they need to expand their brand and share their message with the world. Check the show notes for links to valuable resources and come back again next week.